March 14, 2012, my son Thomas lost his battle with the disease of addiction. I now belong to a club that no parent should ever belong to. Do you know the signs? Do you know the trends that children are doing in today's world? Do you know the signs and symptoms? Do you know the signs and symptoms of drug abuse? I want to empower and educate Long Islanders by bringing a force of professionals and how to prevent the disease of addiction. Long Island in Crisis. Good evening and welcome to Long Island in Crisis. This show is really dedicated to the disease of addiction and the pandemic of the heroin and opiate epidemic that is throughout the country, with really Long Island being identified as the epicenter of the epidemic. Not a title that I care to really, as a Long Islander, live up to. My son lost his battle with the disease. Actually, it will be 4 years this coming Monday. And it's still surreal to me. So we're just, we're here tonight. We're here every week to educate and empower family members and loved ones of people struggling with the disease, to understand the disease, to create your own healthy boundaries, to set healthy boundaries, and just really bring good information to the public. My special guest tonight is Mr. Jim Ammon and he worked, Jim, you work for a Long Island Center for Recovery out in West Hampton Beach.
Hampton Bays.
Hampton Bays.
Yes.
So, yes, Seafield, and then you're the next one.
Correct.
But you have your master's in social work.
Yes, I do.
You are a CASAC, which is a credentialed alcohol and substance abuse counselor.
Yes. And
tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I've been in the field on and off since 1998. I started out as a therapeutic aide out at the Long Island Center for Recovery. I worked with them for about a year, and then I went back into business. My background is working in Manhattan, so I went back into business for about 5 years, but I always found myself connected in one way or another to the treatment community, self-help community, and I slowly gravitated back towards that field and wound up working back at LICR as a therapeutic aide, doing overnight shifts and then working during the day. And then I found myself about 6 months after that sitting down in school and getting my credentials in the alcohol and substance abuse field. And then I worked as a CASAC-T, and then a CASAC on the clinical side, on the inpatient side, and the outpatient side for LICR. My son was born back in 1996, and I was commuting from Huntington to Hampton Bays, and it just got to be a lot. So
yeah.
Claudia Ragni from the Kenneth Theater Center, give KPC a shout out.
Yes.
She was opening up she has an office in a location in Syosset. She was opening up her Hauppauge office, and I connected with Claudia, and in 2007, from 2011, I worked with her in her intensive outpatient program. And then right as the time I was going back to school for my master's, the Long Island Center for Recovery, LICR, was looking for a rep in their provider relations department. So I went back on board with LICR, and I wanted to go back there. It holds, I hold LICR close to my heart. And after Jack Hamilton had passed away.
Yes. So Jack was one of the owners.
Jack was one of the co-founders, one of the original co-founders back in 1995. So it's been over 20 years now. And his wife, Sean Hamilton, Jack did the day-to-day operation. Sean is a nurse and was working in the medical department of LICR. And Jack passed away approximately, I think it's going on 6 years now. So Sean came in, rolled up her sleeves, and took over the day-to-day operation, and has just done a fantastic job. Just in terms of
it's a beautiful facility. They do a great job, and I know this, for anybody watching tonight, if you call anyone calls you, you get people in immediately.
Yeah. Well,
never a problem.
Yeah, that was always Jack's philosophy, and it is Sean's philosophy today. The best thing that LICR can do is when we get a phone call, our goal is to get the person that is seeking help in treatment within 24 hours, if not 48 hours, because Jack's philosophy always was bring them in. It's changed a little bit now with the dynamics of insurance,
Right.
but get them in as soon as possible, because if you don't, we're going to lose them.
Yes, because that window opens, and as soon as the person struggling starts to feel uncomfortable, because withdrawal
Right.
from any substance is not pleasant.
They run.
They run.
They try to run.
They go run,
So,
and they go back to what they were doing because they don't want to feel that pain.
right. Right.
Whatever pain they're running from. But the withdrawal pain becomes very physical then.
Yeah, especially with the opiates,
Yeah. It's brutal.
Within the body and what they're feeling, and then with the alcohol and the benzos, they start shaking, they start sweating, they start getting the DTs,
And that's life-threatening.
That's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Right. Right. So,
And we're not talking about the benzos so much, and that's Xanax, right? Valium. And no child has anxiety that bad that they need to be on Xanax.
right.
That is a drug that's given out way too freely now, I think. I mean, I'm certainly not a clinician or a doctor, but sometimes you have to figure out ways to take care of yourself.
No, you're absolutely right.
You know.
I mean, LICR, we're designed as a 40-bed inpatient and outpatient substance use disorder facility with a medically supervised detox right in the facility. So we're one of the only privately owned medically supervised treatment programs on Long Island outside of like a hospital setting, which is a medically managed, one step below a hospital setting, medically supervised. And it's very dangerous, as you said, for the alcohol and the benzos once they go into withdrawal. So it's very important that we get them into treatment as soon as possible. But to answer your question, we're in such a fast-paced environment
Yes.
today that it's the instant gratification, the instant satisfaction. Let me take a pill and run and just keep doing what I'm doing instead of stopping and working through the anxiety, through the process, where it's coming from, identifying it, and then understanding it, and then working through it. It's much easier today to take a pill. Within 15, 20 minutes, I'm feeling better. Let me move on.
Do you know the craziest thing is, and after I lost Thomas, that first year I was quiet and I liked being at home. I would go to work, but I couldn't wait to get home. I liked being there. And I never put my finger on it until somebody says, oh, you have anxiety to go out? I never thought about it in that realm. It was just like, I like being home right now. Right? I don't really want to go out. I didn't give it a name, and then I didn't need anything. I had to sit through it.
Right.
Because I tell people, when I come and speak in different places, I tell people that are in treatment, I could have been given anything. I could have drank, I could have been given Xanax, Valium, whatever. I don't think any doctor would have not given me something to help me get through what I had to go through.
Absolutely.
At the end of that period, though, whatever it was, 6 months, 6 years, I still would have had to deal with the death of my son.
Right.
So you can't ever run away from that permanently. And it sucks to sit through it sometimes.
It's very uncomfortable.
But
Very
there's
uncomfortable.
nothing else you can do.
Right.
So you just sit through it.
Right.
And you do the best you can. And you say, okay, I will, go to sleep. I'll get up tomorrow. Tomorrow will be a better day. And you just take steps to work through it.
Yep.
But I can't see, if you watch TV, now if you're on opiates, you can take a pill to go to the bathroom. You can take a pill to go to sleep. You can take a pill to stop smoking. It's just never ending. Never ending.
It's true, and it's as you said, watching TV today, it's they're promoting.
They are promoting it.
They're promoting it, and you look at it, and then you start questioning yourself. Well, maybe that is something I need. Maybe that is something that will help me.
Yeah.
Never mind the side effects that you might get from them. It is, you kind of question, well, maybe this is something, and ask your doctor. So all of a sudden, we all become, medical professionals. And we start, analyzing, what the drug is.
Go on WebMD.
Right. We start to research it, and then we go talk to our doctor. My wife's a nurse practitioner in the cardiac surgery, and she said it drives them crazy when they see the commercials, you know, and they're promoting all these different drugs, and then it's go ask your doctor, and then you're going in there, and we don't have a lot of information. We're not really sure what we're talking about, what we're asking.
Of course not, but
you know.
you have the idea in your head, and you will find a doctor that's going to agree with you.
Absolutely.
Because that's the answer that we want to hear.
Right.
This is going to solve my problems.
Right.
Give me that medication.
And that's what we've seen in the last 10 or 15 years in terms of over-prescribing the opiates for pain and the benzos for anxiety.
So what have you really seen since, say, 2000 till now with people suffering with this disease?
You know, it has definitely evolved and it has changed. Many, many years ago, at least, you know, in terms of LICR, it's an adult facility, 18 to 65. We take private insurance as well as a self-pay option. But I would say probably 90% of the clientele were what we consider adults.
Okay.
You know, 35 and over. That doesn't mean that they didn't get, you know, their clients were younger. Some 18 to 21, 21 to 29. But that was probably, you know, 10 to 20% of the overall population.
And what was the drug of choice, say, many years ago?
Alcohol, cocaine, crack cocaine.
Okay.
I'm not saying that there was some heroin. It just wasn't as prevalent as it is today. And then you slowly saw the transition from the alcohol, the cocaine, the benzos, the crack cocaine, to the opiate epidemic. And now, if in fact treatment centers would allow, I would say 85 to 90% of the clientele could be under the age of 29 with an opiate addiction, whether it's pills or heroin.
Isn't that absolutely mind-boggling?
So that's kind of how it's transitioned. I think I heard someone say that the opiates, the heroin, the opiate addiction, the opiate epidemic has 10 to 15 year head start on us.
Yes.
Is basically what it is, if not longer. I mean, it's always been around, but it's
always been around. Well, John Venza, actually, you know, if you've seen him speak, he wrote something, I think, you know, or interviewed New York Times, Wall Street Journal, one of those in the early 90s, and saw this coming down the pike.
Okay.
So, and Dr. Jeff Reynolds also. It's got a big head start on us.
Yep. But it's always been, well, it's happening over here.
Yes.
It's happening over there, but it's not happening here.
Correct.
It's not happening in my backyard. It might be happening in this community, but it's not happening in our community. And it was happening in the community, but it slowly transitioned from small pockets to every community out within Long Island. I mean, if I recall, just last week, a young adult got arrested at one of the high schools for having 90 bags of heroin.
A senior in high school.
Of heroin.
18 years old.
Right. Yeah.
So,
in a pretty affluent area, if I believe.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
18 years old.
Yeah.
You know, and he's not a drug dealer. He's supplying his habit.
Right.
You know, and that's what, you know, when you read some of the comments that, you know, on News 12, if you're online with different organizations, and you can read the ignorance, and that's what I'll call it. I could call it a lot worse than that, but the ignorance of people. Lock them up, throw away the key, you know.
Right.
Most of the criminals that are in jail today have something to do with substance abuse.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there's always been a stigmatism,
Yes.
and it's getting better, but it's certainly not where we need it to be. Education is much more in the forefront today than it ever was. There's still a lot of denial that goes around within communities and within families, and that will always be there. But if we can just continue to educate our young adults, our family, and really, you know, in the middle schools and the elementary schools, slowly start to educate our children.
They need, you know, you have a young son, but
I do.
you know, working with some school districts, that, you know, when they have parents back for back to school night, or if their kids are joining a sport, especially, there needs to be a communication or someone, whether it be the school nurse or someone, to say, if we have an injury, please, you know, educate the parents, because it's an opportunity to educate them. Don't allow, you know, your child to be prescribed opiates.
Yes.
There is a time and a place for it.
Mm-hmm.
Surgery, certainly, but such a small amount for a few days, and then it has to be, because that is just an addictive drug, period, and your body will want it.
And that's what's happening with our young adults.
Yeah.
They gravitate towards it for whatever reason. You know, as we know, alcohol is usually in a sense, the starting,
yes,
that opens up the floodgates for the gateway. Maybe some marijuana, and then they, you know, for whatever reason, they transition to the opiates. Some of it's for pain management. Others, it's just, you know, they go to parties. They're hanging out with friends. It's a great high. They enjoy the high. It takes them out of themselves. I've heard, you know, I've never felt this way in my life. This is what I need. And then they transition from taking the pills because they become too expensive to heroin that has become very inexpensive. It's cheap.
Yeah.
And they don't realize how their body has become physically addicted to it.
Physically, absolutely.
Matter of fact, they've, in a sense, become physically addicted to it before they've really become mentally addicted to it.
Correct.
Most of them.
Yep.
And then because of we've discussed the withdrawal and how uncomfortable it is going through the withdrawal process.
It's painful.
They're just looking for their next fix.
Yeah. We'll be right back after this message.
Hi, I'm going to do a live commercial. Hi, I'm Renee Marie, the president and founder of Renee Marie's Language of Love Foundation. I would like to personally invite you to our second annual telethon held right here on Madhousetv. Did you know that nearly 80% of strokes could be prevented? By knowing the signs and getting to the hospital within a 4.5-hour window, you could save your life or someone's you love life or anyone's life. Strokes do not discriminate who it affects and at what time. A stroke can happen at any time and play a huge impact in your life. Do you know what aphasia is? It is a result of a stroke or brain injury, which affects the ability to speak and communicate. Think about how you would feel if you cannot express yourself, even in the simplest forms. I am blessed to say that I am a stroke survivor and can humbly speak of the experience of how it feels to express myself, to not be able to express myself, and not to understand. It is devastating. Please join us on March 20th, 2016 on Madhousetv for a Language of Love telethon, which supports strokes and aphasia. You can visit our website at www.languageoflovetelethon.org. Together, we are lifting our voices and changing the face of strokes and aphasia locally and around the globe. God bless you, and I'll see you on Madhousetv on March 20th, 2016. God bless everybody. Ciao.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is me, GMC, in the place to be, the greatest MC in history. There will never be an MC greater than me. And right about now, the only place for you to be is with your one and only Madhousetv.
You are the man.
Welcome back to Long Island in Crisis with my good friend here, Jim. So it is so discouraging to know that we're losing this whole generation. and there's going to be a family tomorrow. There'll be many families that wake up without their loved ones tomorrow. There's always hope in recovery, always hope in recovery. So can you tell me, so, you know, Claudia's been here, so intensive outpatient does work for a certain clientele. What do you see with really the epidemic, though? Do you feel like they need to be more inpatient, or is it just really needs to be based on each individual person?
It is individualized. I mean, treatment is certainly individualized, and you try to incorporate a treatment program for that individual, inpatient or outpatient. I'm a firm believer that most clients need and deserve inpatient treatment. And then once that treatment is completed, then they transition to an outpatient treatment center setting for an additional 6 to 8 months. Most treatment programs that we're familiar with today are designed for 28 to 30 day treatment. Unfortunately, with the way we're working with the insurance companies today, and we are contracted with most major commercial insurance companies, everything is done on a medical necessity today. So most people don't know, when they make a phone call to their insurance company and they get a customer care rep on the phone and they talk about, because substance abuse and mental health is carved out, they'll ask, you know, what type of coverage do I have? And some will say, you have 30 days per calendar year, you have 60 days per calendar year with a lifetime 90 days, so on and so forth. What they don't tell them is that they're not going to give them 30 days in a row, or 28 days in a row, or 60 days in a row. So the way it works today, years ago, the insurance companies wanted clinical information with some medical. Now it's all done on a medical necessity with some clinical. And we all work off of evidence-based practice, which includes clinical and medical. But they look at it as a medical necessity. Being a medically supervised detox program, most of our clients come through the detox protocol. So for example, we might have a client that comes in, whether it's alcohol and benzos or opiates and benzos, and we do a full intake screening on the phone. They come in, we set up a bed date, they'll come in, they'll meet with our utilization review department, they'll meet with our admissions department, they'll meet with our medical department. Once we compile additional information off of the intake screening, then our utilization review department will contact the insurance company and try to get what we call a pre-certification for detox.
Okay.
Now, our detox program is designed for 7 days, whether it's opiates, alcohol, benzos. When in fact we get on the phone with the insurance company, we could go through 45 minutes to an hour of discussing the medical necessity and a little piece of the clinical, and they'll say, okay, we'll start you off with 4 days. Now here's a person that could be shooting 8 to 10 bags of heroin a day. Alcohol's a little bit different because, as we know, there is a medical risk of going into active withdrawal, having a seizure, heart attack, die. The way they look at it on the opiate side is that there's no significant risk of going into, of dying through the withdrawal process. However, what they choose to eliminate is when the client is in, or an individual is in active withdrawal, they're looking for their next fix. They're looking for their next high, which is always the possibility of an overdose. But they don't look at that piece. They look at the medical necessity of the withdrawal.
I do believe they look at that piece. And I do believe that, unfortunately, and someone that we both know explained this to me one day, that a person from the insurance, they worked for the insurance company. You know, years ago, your dad, my dad worked for the phone company for 40 years. Same insurance, same everything. In today's world, we don't keep the same insurance. It's always changing. So the insurance company looks at its pool and says, half of them won't be with us for more than a year. So if we just withhold, they're not going to be our problem. Certain number of them will die if we and that's okay. We're good with that because we're still not paying the claim.
Collateral damage.
And that's exactly what it is.
Yeah. You're probably right. I don't want to admit that.
I know. It's a sad state of just being part of the human race, if you know, because if we look at the profits that the CEOs of all the major health cares have taken home in their pockets, and I'm not naive enough to think that the person on the phone, for every person that they keep out of treatment or, limit the number of days, that they're not getting a bonus to. That's just, call me cynical, because I've lived it.
Right.
They're not high enough for treatment. He's not high enough for treatment.
He's not using enough. He's using 8 bags of heroin. Go to outpatient, fail 3 times, and continue to use, meaning that if you're going to fail in outpatient, that means they want you to continue to use. Bump it up from 8 bags to 10 bags, maybe to 12 bags. Try not to die. Try not to overdose and die.
Right.
And then maybe we'll incorporate an inpatient detox protocol. So, so we call the insurance company and they give us 4 days, and then it's 4 days subject to review. So then on the 4th day, we have to go through the process again to get those 3 more days to complete the detox protocol. And then we might get the 3 days. And then that's subject to either a discharge to outpatient, to an intensive outpatient program, or to a step down to the rehab portion. Now in our facility, while they're in detox, they're incorporated into the treatment protocol. So we're getting them up, we're getting them moving. We want them part of the treatment while they're in there, because we never know how much time they're going to get.
Heroin addiction is not cured in 7 days, not cured in 4 days.
No. 30 days is not enough.
30 days is not enough.
60
You're absolutely
to 90
right.
days inpatient treatment, especially for the young adult, should be mandated. And then transitioning to an outpatient, intensive outpatient program. Unfortunately,
you're taking an undeveloped brain and
Yep.
adding these crazy substances to it,
Yeah.
and they are getting damaged.
Mhm.
So from a human point of view, again, my son was 21, 2 weeks short of his 22nd birthday. Bright, bright, bright kid. And we saw the damage.
Right.
You could see it. Not as sharp, not as focused. And people will say, well, he got what he deserved. No, he didn't.
No.
He was a kid that made one mistake that fired up that disease in his body.
Mm-hmm. And then the progression just took off.
And the progression is quick in a kid.
Yeah.
Because
And
you don't have those, take the foot off the gas, we got to think about this.
Right, I
It's
look at it as
just
a traffic light.
Yeah.
Yep. Green light, yellow light, red light. It's just they get the thought, green light, they go. There's no yellow light. There's no thought process. Slow down. Let me think about this.
No.
And that's where we work in terms of transitioning them from the green light to the yellow light to hopefully through the steps of recovery, the red light.
Yeah.
But that's the major difference between what we used to see many years ago with the alcohol, the progression of the alcohol. You start drinking at the age of 16, you drink alcoholically at times. It's very rare where somebody is an alcoholic at a very young age. I know it happens, and I know people have gone in and have sought treatment and recovery through alcoholism at a very young age, but normally it's the progression of the disease for 10, 15, 20 years.
It's going to take a long time to die.
And it takes a long time to die, and there's been a lot of damage that has been caused and consequences that have been caused, but it's usually it's definitely a longer progression, a process. With the opiates, we're seeing 6 months, if not sooner, a year, if not sooner.
Yeah.
It has taken people down, our young adults, and it's not just young adults, it's older adults too, but it has taken our young adults down very quickly.
I don't know, when we talk about that, so that 45 to 55 age bracket, weekend warriors, playing sports, getting hurt, I need to get back to work. I mean, you also handle some of the unions, so especially the construction unions.
Yes, we do.
They get hurt. These are men and women that have families to raise, that cannot afford to miss work, and being prescribed into their addiction because they have to go on and continue life.
They have to go on and continue work. They have bills to pay. As you said, they have families.
They have families, they have responsibilities.
Right. And what used to be 2 Vicodins that used to work, then all of a sudden it's 4 Vicodins. Now I need 6 Vicodins. Now I need 8 Vicodins a day. And the transition continues. And then I go from 8 to 10 Vicodins to 2 Oxys, because Oxys are much more powerful, but they're much more expensive. And I start, once once I increased to the 8 to 10 Vicodins, now I'm running out of my prescription very quickly, so now I might be getting them off the street.
Right.
And then I'm tired of taking 10 pills a day, so now I transition to 2 oxys, which become very expensive. It's usually, what, $1 a milligram? So for 30 milligrams to 60 milligrams, we're talking anywhere between $60 to $120 a day, which becomes very expensive. The older adult usually starts to see, you know what, this is not working with my bank account and my transition, and we've had older individuals that transitioned from the oxys to sniffing heroin, but I'll never shoot it, and then wind up shooting. The young adults, it's the same transition.
Same transition.
But then they start stealing. They start stealing money, they start stealing jewelry, they start hawking stuff. Yeah. And it's not who they are.
No, their brains are kidnapped.
It's what
their
they
brains
had
and their
become
souls
through the addiction.
Are kidnapped.
Right, and it's very important that people understand that. It's not who they are.
No.
They didn't wake up one day and say, I can't wait to become an addict, I can't wait to rob from my mom, I can't wait to steal from my brother, and I can't wait to shoot heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not who they are. It's what they become through the progression of the addiction.
It's the demon that the disease is.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. So we're seeing, we certainly have an epidemic, not only on Long Island, through the metropolitan area, through the United States. We are seeing much more of a co-occurring disorder. There's certainly a psych component, you know, to the substance use disorder as well.
Some mental health.
There's some mental health too, and we're
and
doing
and
our
I would
best.
argue, not sure which would have come first.
We don't know,
especially with the younger people using these types of drugs.
Right. We don't
I think
know.
that they are causing themselves some mental.
Absolutely. You know, there's You don't know, are they using because of the anxiety and depression, or is the anxiety depression caused by the use of the substance?
Yeah. I'm going to hold you on that thought, and we'll be right back after this message.
My name is Dr. Robert Brevard. I'm here for Multi-Medicine in Westbury, New York. We're located at 1065 Old Country Road, Suite 214. Been here for about 15 years. The practice has medical doctors, physical therapists, chiropractors, acupuncturists. We also do pain management, and we have orthopedists on staff. Here at Advanced Multi-Medicine Rehabilitation, we've got physical therapists on staff who treat an array of conditions, from neck pain to back pain, shoulder pain. We treat carpal tunnel. We treat a lot of car accident patients, slip and falls. We treat patients with knee injuries, with ankle injuries. We have state-of-the-art equipment. We've been here for over 15 years. Vast array of diagnostic testing, from x-rays to EMGs. What is an EMG? It's a diagnostic test that allows a doctor to determine where the pinched nerve is. Cora is a physical therapist at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. She's working on Stephanie, who was involved recently in an automobile accident. Stephanie has tight thoracic and cervical musculature, and Cora is doing some myofascial release work and some therapeutic stretching, doing it to help her with her pain. Vicky is also a patient here at Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation. Vicky is now working her leg muscles, specifically her quadricep muscles, trying to strengthen them after an injury she sustained. If you find yourself in need of any type of physical therapy, please don't hesitate to call Advanced Multi-Medicine and Rehabilitation, located in Westbury, New York, in Suite 214. Phone number is 516-334-7000, or find us on our website at advancedmultimedicine.com.
Welcome to Formula Auto Wash, where every day is a great day for a car wash. Open 7 days a week from 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Sundays 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Detailing packages for every budget, starting out at $29.99. 100% hand wash and detail centre. Hog's hair and microfiber brushes and mitts. Proud proudly using Ecolab Blue Coral soaps and waxes. Formula Auto Wash has served the community for over 30 years. Senior discounts all day, every day. Ladies' Day Wednesday, $3 off any wash. Early bird discount Monday through Thursday till 9:30 a.m. Check out our website, formulaautowash.com.
Galaxy Luxury Coach is a full-service limousine and party bus company. Family-owned and operated, we are an industry leader with over 25 years of experience in providing best-in-class luxury transportation for your special event. Whether it's your precious wedding day, an all-day wine tour out east, your high school prom, that special birthday, or just an amazing night on the town, our professional chauffeurs stand ready to ensure your special event is truly special. Galaxy Luxury Coach has one of the largest and modern party bus fleets in the New York area. Our party buses are simply nightclubs on wheels. Concert sound systems, light shows, lasers and strobes, multicolor LED lighting brilliantly lights your party bus inside and out. For corporate and more laid-back events, we will cater to your specific needs and requests. What sets Galaxy aside from all others in the luxury transportation industry is our attention to detail in customizing our services to your special event. At Galaxy, it's all about you and your guests. Galaxy customers return time and time again because they know they can trust Galaxy to help deliver those lifetime memorable moments. Step aboard and let your Galaxy experience begin.
Welcome back to Long Island in Crisis, and I mean, off camera we were just talking about some things about what's changed in the world. Again, the immediate gratification and the absence of feeling all pain. Mm-hmm. Pain is a necessary vital sign, and one that shouldn't be dismissed so easily. You need just to be comfortable, right?
And you know, in today's environment, with the fast-paced environment, everybody's running, and I think a part of that, the running, is one where, you know, dual income families, wife.
Oh, absolutely, it's very
husband
difficult
and wife
to
working, everybody's running around. But when we stop, a lot of people become uncomfortable
with being with themselves.
To being with themselves and feeling what they're feeling.
Yeah.
So let me just keep moving. Because as long as I move, I don't have to feel and I don't have to be uncomfortable. But as we always say, wherever you go, there you are. So eventually you have to stop, and eventually you have to start feeling. And it is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable, especially, you know, whether you're addicted or you're not addicted, you're in recovery, you're not in recovery. It's uncomfortable to sit back and feel and process and understand.
To be human, you're going to be uncomfortable at times with feelings, with circumstances, with everything. Mm-hmm. And you do the best you can in the moment in time you are. Yep. Period.
Period.
And not everything gets solved in a 24-hour period.
And that's what we try to work with our clients on, is understanding that feeling. There's a lot of fear, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of pain. However, once you start working through the process and developing new sober coping skills, you realize that you don't need that quick fix, that coping skill that you were using, the alcohol, the benzos, the opiates, because that's what it is. It's once you found a substance that made you feel better and took you out of yourself and took you away from those uncomfortable feelings. When I start to feel those, what do? I can either sit and process it or get a quick fix and have it taken away for a short period of time.
It's always going to be there.
So we work with our clients to start to understand that, you know, the healthy coping skills and understanding how you can work through this without using a substance to subside.
Just being quiet sometimes for a little while.
Yeah.
And then saying, all right, I thought about this enough today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to put that on the side. I'll come back to it at a different time.
Yes. And that's
okay. You know, I just shared with someone today, as a matter of fact, when you're living with the disease of addiction, it's insanity. You know, I'm sure you've heard that from other families.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm a single mom, had to go to work. So I started to cope with everything that was going on, because when I'm at work, I have to be at work.
Right.
A financial advisor, I need to be on. So I would give myself 15, 20 minutes in the morning to yell, scream, do whatever I needed to put that all into place.
Mm-hmm.
And then said, all right, I'll either pick this up later or tomorrow, but for right now, life is good. I'm going to go to work, and I'm going to enjoy my day as best I can.
Best of my ability.
Because worrying about it doesn't change anything.
No.
Thinking about it, obsessing about it, doesn't change anything.
Right.
Can I do anything concrete that will change the circumstances? If the answer is no, then let it go and move on.
Right.
Just, as best you can.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you're always successful. It just means you have to do the best you can.
That's right. And circle back to it.
And circle
when
back
you have
to
the
it.
opportunity.
Yes.
And that might be today, tomorrow, a week from now.
Exactly.
You know.
Everything works out the way it's supposed to anyway.
Right.
And I think the older I get, the more I really appreciate that statement. It all works out, whether you worry about it or you don't worry about it.
That's right. It does all work out. And the more you worry about it, the more jammed up you get. And the more jammed up
Absolutely.
you get, the more
And
frustrated
all of that worry,
you get. All that worry, all that frustration, all that anger.
Didn't do anything.
Right.
Didn't change anything.
Didn't change the outcome. The outcome's going to be the outcome. We need to do the footwork.
Yep.
But the outcome's going to be the outcome.
How do you, does LICR do alternative treatments like yoga or meditation?
We do. We have a step meditation in the morning. We get our clients up, we call them clients, residents.
Yes.
We get them up between 7 and 7:30, and they will have breakfast, and then after breakfast they go in for a step meditation. Step meditation can either just be a meditation through music, meditation through sitting quietly. The step, we do step work, steps 1, 2, and 3 through the Narcotics Anonymous or Alcoholics Anonymous step workbook, or yoga in the morning too. And that varies per day, per counselor, and who's doing the
I know
the
what
morning.
yoga has done for my life, so I always share it with everyone, because it's a moving meditation. You feel great. You just empty your mind for an hour and a half. It's your time.
Yeah.
It's your time on the mat. And when you can connect with your breath and just move through that, you can accomplish anything. Without yoga, even through my son's death and everything else, I went back to my breath. I can't tell you. And you really can calm yourself.
Right.
You can bring yourself back to a place of center, to a place of calm for you, and just be.
So it takes time to practice that.
It takes time to practice that.
To try to let go and to meditate, like you said. I mean, most people, oh yeah, I can do that, and 60 seconds later, they're all over the place. If not 30 seconds.
Yeah, I was just going to say, 60 seconds is a
giving them
long
the benefit
time.
of the doubt. 60 seconds seems like it's for an eternity.
It is an eternity.
When you're meditating.
When you're first learning how to meditate.
Right. We also, just so that you know, not outside with the yoga and the meditation, we've incorporated through one of our counselors who was trained by a gentleman down in Florida, RRT, which is Rapid Resolution Therapy. It's a trauma-based therapy. It's done on an individual basis. Kind
of like EMDR?
It's similar to an EMDR. I'm not a specialist in either one. My understanding is with the RRT, you go up into the subconscious of the brain, and you, in a sense, take away the negativity of the trauma. You're not taking away the trauma, but you're allowing the negativity of the trauma. You're putting that aside, and you're looking at it. You're not necessarily looking at it in a positive fashion, but it allows the client to break through the trauma and start to work on the recovery process. Years ago, it was all about, let's work on the recovery, and let's put the trauma aside, work on the recovery, and then when you extend your treatment on an outpatient basis, you'll start working on the trauma, individual therapy. Well, what we've realized that most of our clients that come through treatment today, there's some type of trauma that has occurred. It could be all different type of
death in the family, divorce,
bullying, and then into other types of
Yeah.
trauma, physical abuse, sexual abuse, mental abuse. And what we have found
And
is
unfortunately, those things are very common in today's world.
very common in today's world, as you said, and also very common in addiction. And what we've realized is that we have to parallel the treatment because some of the trauma is so devastating that we have to work with them. So we take the negativity away from the trauma, and then we start to parallel the recovery process and the trauma. We've incorporated a first responder uniform professional treatment group as well during our weekly process. So we are now working with veterans and other first responders. We carve out a couple of groups for them during the week. So with that, as well as the RRT, we're starting to really incorporate a trauma-based treatment for them. But not just the first responders, but for everyone that comes through.
You know, speaking, you know, to all different types of people, and I've spoken for the last few years, so I've spoken to a lot of people in treatment, and sometimes listening to their stories of what they went through, you can't blame them.
Right.
You really can't blame them for wanting to escape.
That's right.
Because there are some horrific things that happen to people.
That's right.
You
and
know?
if they could continue to use the way they did without the progression, they probably would still be using. But
yes.
with the progression of the trauma, as well as the progression of the disease, of the addiction, just takes them down to a point where they can't live.
Yeah.
They can't live life any longer the way they want to.
It's a very sad commentary on the world.
Right.
It really is. But bad things happen to good people.
Yeah, unfortunately.
You know, and we just, you know, for my son, we lost all three grandparents, and you know, my ex-husband and I got divorced within a 3-year period.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
For a 12-year-old to a 15-year-old to deal with.
It's a lot to process. Yes,
a lot to process.
Yeah, yeah.
So. And not knowing how, you know, not wanting to open up or not being able to open up, I should say.
Not knowing how to open up.
Yeah.
You know, we're not taught to open up. We're
we're
not taught to discuss our feelings.
Yeah.
You know, and especially as an adolescent, a child,
an adolescent boy.
Young adult, an adolescent boy, a young adult. There's a lot of fear. Trying to understand what I'm feeling and why I'm feeling this.
Oh, hitting puberty and everything else is a...
And then I see what others are doing to cope with these feelings. And again, the first time Thomas took a pill, you know, it was, wow, this makes me feel better.
This makes me not feel.
This makes me not feel.
Yeah.
And as I said, not looking at, and certainly not saying to himself, one day I'm going to be a full-blown addict.
Never, that was never the occurrence.
Of course not.
We'll be right back after this message.
You know you already want a Toyota, but when you want more from your Toyota store, you want Smithtown Toyota, where every Toyota comes with Smithtown Toyota's Toyota for Life program, giving you lifetime New York State inspections, lifetime 10% discounts on all parts and service, 2 years of complimentary oil changes, 2 years of scheduled maintenance, and more, all at no cost to you, plus low clear-out deals on every Toyota in stock. Get more from your Toyota store. Hurry to Smithtown Toyota.
Welcome to the Rehab Center located at 2025 Brentwood Road in Brentwood, New York. At the center we offer chiropractic services, acupuncture, and physical therapy. We take most major medical, no-fault, and workers' comp insurance. If you need these types of services, contact the offices at 631-234-4949. That's 631-234-4949.
were just discussing, really, you know, really do feel we're doing a disservice to our children at a very young age, you know. I say it all the time. There was a reason why you met at the flagpole and you worked your own problems out.
Right.
Parents need to allow children to work through some of their problems, their kids' problems.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly not if it's something that's escalated, but when they're having an issue with another kid or, you know, some things are meant to be worked out by children.
Right.
They will find the quickest way, and they'll be friends in 15 minutes without you swooping in.
That's right.
If, you know, I used to always tell for my children, if you're not going to do your homework, then you will suffer the consequences of that decision. I'm not going to always be checking on your homework, especially when they would get into middle school. You know, you would be checking everything from that point on. So they suffered the consequences of their decision not to do their homework or not to get a good grade, because then they wouldn't get to do the other things that they like to do.
That's right.
But without them suffering the consequences, they didn't know, because that would be allowed to perpetuate itself.
Right. And we hurt when they hurt.
We do hurt, and we hurt more.
More, and it breaks
when they
your
hurt.
heart.
It breaks your heart.
It is. It's
But
devastating.
it's, you know, it's also like watching your toddler or your infant really learn how to walk, and how many times do they fall?
That's right.
How many times do they? But you can't follow them around with a pillow
Right.
until they learn that process.
Right.
It's letting them go enough, and they are going to fall down and they are going to get scraped up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's how they get back up.
Right.
Is
Brush
the
themselves off
empowering
and move forward.
And that's the empowerment that we're not giving them.
Right.
They're allowed. So you and I, we were laughing before. Anxiety was, well, I have butterflies in my belly. I feel nervous.
Right.
That's, we all
What it
feel
was.
that.
Right. That's what we're feeling.
Of course.
Now
Until
it's a diagnosis.
Now it's a diagnosis.
Right. Yeah. Here, take this.
Take-
You'll feel better.
Right.
Butterflies will go away.
Yeah.
You know.
But
Instead of
butterflies
working,
are good.
Instead of working through it.
Right. Why am I nervous?
Yeah.
Well, every time I'm going to speak in front of my class, I'm going to get a little nervous.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Sooner or later, that's going to go away.
And people that do public speaking get nervous all the time.
Of course.
They specialize in public speaking, and they get nervous every time they get up in front of the podium. It's going to happen.
It's going to
You
happen.
work your way through the process. you
Yeah.
know. But you have to understand how to do it.
But children listen to everything that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They also watch your every behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So if every day you come home and say, I had a rough day, I'm going to have a beer, or I'm going to have a drink, or a glass of wine, they're going to associate having a bad day with having a drink.
Absolutely.
Instead of coming home and saying, you know what, let's talk about my day because I didn't have a great day. How was your day?
Right.
Talk about it, go for a walk, go for a bike ride. You know, you're not at work anymore,
Healthy
so let it
coping
go.
skills.
Healthy coping skills.
Right.
I work with Kim Laube a lot, who I adore. So she also says, nobody's criticizing or judging or anything else. Anybody that wants to have a glass of wine or a beer.
No.
It's just that when you're always doing it, you got to allow that child to see mom and dad can have a great time along with the rest of families on occasions without alcohol in the mix.
Right.
It just sends a different message.
Yes. I
So,
agree.
you know, these little nuances that we could do. Because kids today, a baby can swipe your iPhone and know the code when I don't even remember the password.
Right, right.
Right?
They
They
figure it
know-
out very quickly.
They figure everything out very quickly. They are watching your every move because you are their hero. So how you show up in their life is very important.
It is. It is. And you know, we're learning, you know, that
Everyone's learning.
listen, they don't come out with, you know, they don't have directions when your
No,
child
and if
is
they
born.
did, I
we
don't
wouldn't
know
use
how
them
many-
anyway. Right, because anytime I put something together, there's always a couple of pieces left anyway.
But,
So-
you know, and we were talking about Common Core also.
Right.
That stresses the parents out. That stress goes back to the child.
That's right.
You know what? I don't know how to help you with this. I'm going to write your teacher a note, and it's okay.
Right.
You're going to get some extra help at school.
Mm-hmm.
We're
And
going
it's
to do the
okay.
best and it's okay.
It's okay.
This is how you learn.
Right.
Doesn't matter how the other 20 kids in your class
Doesn't
learn.
matter.
This is how you learn.
Right.
We're going to work through it. We're going to work it out.
Yep.
No need to worry. And we're certainly not going to worry about it tonight
Right.
We're going to get a good night's sleep. We're going to, you know, it's how we cope with the things that are thrown at us also.
That's right.
So I certainly don't want to stress over my 4th grade homework.
Right.
And thank God I got through the 4th grade already, because I'm
Right.
not sure if I could do this.
Yeah, I love every minute of it. I really do.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah,
But, you know, 5 years from now, they'll say, oh, we made a mistake with Common Core. Let's go back to the way it was.
They're already there.
They're already there.
They just won't admit it. I want to believe that we are all making an impact.
Yeah.
With what we do, with what you do, with what I do, with what Anthony does, and with others, Claudia, Nancy, Bob Anderson, my partner in the
absolutely.
Provider Relations Department, Sean. I want to believe we're making an impact.
We are making an
I want
impact.
to believe we are helping. We're not where we need to be. We have a long way to go. As someone said, this addiction, especially with the opiates, has 10 to 15 years head start on us.
Yeah.
We are making an impact. It's going to take time.
It's going to take time, but the longer, you know, I'm tired from a legislative point of view of, well, let's get a committee together and we already know what the problem is.
Right.
There's
don't need
also
another
many
committee.
Solutions on the table.
Right.
Put them into effect.
Put them into effect.
Stop wasting money on committees and traveling all over the state to reinvent the same committee that Phil Boyle did in 2012.
Right.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
So we didn't need another one in 2015. It's a waste of taxpayer money that could go towards much more needed things.
Sure. Shift the pendulum back to the treatment centers, the
Yes.
professionals that understand addiction, and give us the opportunity to work with the clients to the best of our ability, but with our education, with our experience, and allow us, because we know the longer they stay in treatment, the longer they're involved with inpatient and outpatient treatment, the better chance they have.
And
is it a magic bullet? No.
appropriate level of care at the
appropriate
earliest intervention
Right.
possible.
Right. And again, I go back to what I said earlier. I believe that most individuals, if not all, should go inpatient before outpatient. There are one-off occasions where they don't need inpatient, but I think everyone could benefit from a 28-day inpatient treatment program. Allow the treatment professionals to make the decision on whether or not a client needs 28 days, not 4 days of detox, maybe 7 days of detox, and then send them out.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Right. Most of them aren't making the
You're putting a
outpatient
Band-Aid
treatment program.
on a bullet hole.
That's right. That's right.
So they're not going to make it.
Right.
And you're
detoxing them and allowing them to get off their substance for 7 days to go back out and use.
So I would love that if that happens, so here's something that they could do with the insurance companies. Treatment facility saying 28 days inpatient, you're letting them out after 3 days. You're going to sign a piece of paper that says you're liable for the outcome of your decision by withholding treatment. And let's see how fast treatment changes.
Right. Right.
Because
it's getting a little better. It's done on a case-by-case basis. However, we are seeing the length of stay a little bit longer than it was a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. You know, again, the pendulum's shifted from 28 days all the way over here to, you know, 3 days, you know, 5 days. Let's just kind of bring it back, meet in the middle. We can all work together. That's what we're here for. Let's all work together and come up with a solution.
a solution.
A solution that works for everyone, but most importantly, works for the addicted individual, the person that's seeking help. 'Cause that's what it's
Absolutely.
about. That's what we're all here for.
That's what
we're here to
all here
reach
for.
out to help the next sick and suffering person get help.
And their families.
And their families.
And their families.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I'm tired of having to console
It's a family
people.
disease.
Yeah,
It's
but
a family
people,
disease.
and they're losing.
And they're losing
And
on a
they're
daily
losing
basis.
On a daily basis.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you so much for coming tonight, Jim.
Thank you for having me, and if I may, I just want to wish you a happy birthday once
Oh,
again.
thank you so
I know
much.
You had a birthday
Yes,
a couple days
Sunday.
ago, so
Sunday.
happy birthday.
Thank you.
And all the best. Thank you. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having me. I'm very honored to be here.
want to thank everyone for tuning in. We'll see you next week. And again, you know, don't judge. Keep an open mind. Empower yourself. Educate yourself. Recovery is so possible. Never give up hope. And never stop fighting. Thank you and have a great week.
Hotel room, musty, peeling pale. Time to pull back those shades.